here today. So welcome council members as well. As you can see in the Outlook invite for today, we have a very straightforward agenda. This agenda incorporates the students that you see here on our screen. These students are part of a larger cohort of students that have been a part of our council's endeavors. And of course, I'm at the Ag Center, so there's a plane flying over. And these students have been a part of us since fall of 2024. And the whole purpose in this, as I'm sure many of you have heard me mention multiple times, so I'm sorry if you're hearing it again. The whole purpose of this is to make sure that students can have an open dialogue with folks like you about their experiences and about the opportunities, the successes, the gaps that exist. So what we've asked them to do is to essentially prepare that in a very short 3-slide presentation for each of them. And really what I need for council members to do is take that information and reflect upon it here and afterwards, and think about any actions that we can take as a collaborative, or actions that you feel like your organizations could take to address anything that you hear. So really, this isn't, like I said, an open dialogue. There's not a particular angle that we're looking at from these students. We have just asked them to prepare those thoughts, and they will share that today. And Kat will be sharing her screen, so we'll just toggle between each of those for y'all. And yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So I believe Aiden's up first.
So, hey everybody, my name is Aiden. I'm a junior and I go to Asheville High School. The most surprising thing I learned from interviewing my peers was that people with older siblings who enrolled in college generally felt more confident in the admissions process. They felt that Asheville High School had done a good job preparing students for education after high school. Contrastingly, my classmates without siblings felt a lot less confident when applying for college and felt worse about how our school prepared them for the next step. You can go to the next slide now. So I think the most important message that this council needs to hear, based on the research, is based around this question: do you feel confident accessing the resources available in your community to help you explore training and career opportunities? So all the people I talked to ranked their confidence as 3 out of 5 or below for this question. Many mentioned that Asheville I didn't have as many career fairs, interest meetings to explore career interests as they would like. I know you mentioned you had a career expo earlier today. So I think just getting those career opportunities, those career fairs available to everybody at our school, regardless of whether they sign up or not, to really be there for all the students would be great. And that would make them more informed about training and career opportunities. And it also ensure that employers fill their positions with qualified individuals. You can go to the next slide. So the most valuable thing that I took from being a student representative in 2024 was that we have a shared experience at Asheville High. So originally I kind of thought that everybody had different responses to the interview questions, or they would have different responses to the interview questions. But I saw a lot of trends that were consistent with what I've seen. And that kind of motivated me to speak up about these issues, because sometimes it's easy to stay quiet when you think it's just yourself, you know what I mean, that is experiencing these things. But when you see everybody else experiencing similar things, then you can kind of you feel that power behind you. So this led me to be more vocal about my concerns, and I know that practices that consistently distract from a student's well-being should be remedied. And being a student representative has helped me help show me that student voice is a vital aspect of the solution.
Thank you, Aiden. I'm curious, what does Asheville High have like a do you guys have like a principal student council? I know it's called different things at different schools, so Is there a way for students to be a voice in administration there?
Yeah. We have a student government association.
Yeah,
So SGA is what they call it. And
yeah.
they work with our administration.
Okay, so that is the channel for that to happen.
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. And Aiden, just curious, what are you thinking about doing? I know you've got another year left, but what do you think about your post-secondary or career aspirations?
So I'm probably looking to go into mechanical engineering. And so I'm looking to get a 4-year degree in mechanical engineering. And yeah.
Great. And work locally, right? I'm joking. But
Yes.
yeah, in
No,
all
no, I
seriousness,
do want to stay within the community. Yes.
well, thank you, Aiden. Anybody, council, Kat, anybody have questions for Aiden? All right. So, Kat, if you toggle to our next presenter, and we'll just keep this train rolling. All right, Grayson.
Hi, my camera's not working, so I apologize.
It's a
So we had the importance of college credits, like, and how those can help us in our future education. Um, and I had 4 out of 5 of my peers that I interviewed say that they like really enjoy like having these as an option and they were beneficial. Um, the only other like college credit that is challenging for us is like the AP classes, which are still college credits, but you have to pass them. And so they all said that, you can bargain a chance of like getting that passing score, but you just have to really pass the class if you take one at a community college. And then one out of all the people that I said were thought I was a little less helpful. She gave it a 3, which is still, she still thinks it's like a good idea, but the main reason was because, like, if you're a competitive student and you're looking at really competitive colleges, they've started to actually look and see if you've been taking the AP ones compared to like a community college because sometimes people think they should be ranked differently. But I mean, overall, like, only 20% thought it was like not as good to have community college classes, but I think personally me, I also think that they are a great thing to have for us. But yeah. Um, and mental health is a really big, uh, I think, issue with like all sorts of education levels, starting in elementary school. I mean, the second leading cause of death for young children was like in 2024, it was the second cause of death, and the third for people our age. Um, I know a lot of people struggle, and sometimes you don't even know because in my community we had a recent loss of a student, but I honestly think the response from our school could have been a lot better. Um, we don't. I feel like schools sometimes don't really show up and make an outstanding statement that this student is missed and you will be missed too. And I feel like if someone is struggling, that's like the last thing you want them to feel. So opening this topic up and like being accepting of struggle um, would be really good, and just collectively like learning how to make programs better and like counselors, training them to maybe focus more on the individual or something. But yeah. And I think the most valuable thing that I learned from all of this and interviewing everyone was that there are so many questions we're all just too afraid to ask. And I need to use my voice more. I think being able to do this and having this opportunity was really amazing because I got to teach my peers something and tell them information they didn't already know. Um, but just like being able to ask questions with no judgment from anyone, because if you don't know information, how are you gonna be able to do something like applying for college? But just getting this to be like normal information instead of having to like search everywhere and ask all different people, I think that's something that we really need to work on. But it was super fun to like be able to share. Yeah.
Grayson, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. I'll start off with one question for you. Going back to the first point that you made about AP courses and sort of community college courses at your high school. Do you feel like there's more AP courses than there are community college courses? I'm just curious about the ratio. Like, is there a balance between those?
Yeah, so I think the rules are honestly the most restricting because our school tells us that we can really only take a college class if it's first or fourth block. And so if you're like a senior, that might be more available to you. Like you could have it in second or third block. But I've only taken 2 classes and I'm a junior. But I know people who haven't even been able to take some. And our AP classes at my school, we have about, I think, 7 or 8, which isn't bad, but I think there are a lot more AP classes that could be available and they're not. But there's a good pool of college classes you can take. It's just when you can take it is probably the most challenging part.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Kat, council members, questions for Grayson?
I just wanted to comment. I commented this. We had an 11 o'clock meeting as well with some students, and my comment was one of the things both of you touched on, and I really heard from most of you was how impactful it was to you guys as students to be able to sit down across the table and interview other students and get their perspectives and share information, and how that was surprising to you. It made you feel not so alone. While we're kind of all having the same experience, right? There are those common themes and trends from either wage, access to, wages, job wages in the future, to applying for school and mental health and just the importance of peer-to-peer conversations and how helpful that was. So I just appreciate you bringing that up, and that is a theme that I keep seeing from all of you guys. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grayson. All right. All right. So next up.
Okay. Hi, my name's Kyla Christensen. Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm a junior at Hendersonville High School. And the most surprising thing is that almost all of my peers believe that educational institutes in the area provide adequate mental health resources to its students, and that some said it provided too much resources. And I haven't noticed this in, oh, is my mic not working?
No, I can hear you.
Okay, someone just said it's not working, sorry.
Oh, no, I think she said her mic wasn't working.
Okay.
Well, so, no, you're totally good. Yes.
So I haven't noticed this in other schools, but my school in particular can be like unfair to students like with mental health. And it kind of like makes students that don't have mental health issues kind of act out more and think that they can also like get away with things that students who do have like messages from their therapist providing. And the school doesn't really like specify that it's because of mental health. They kind of just like students with mental health issues don't have to go to my school and they still graduate. And it's not like explained to other students, if that makes sense. Okay. And the next one. And I think the most important message to the P20 council members need to hear is that based on my research, my peers have been to little or no college or job fairs, and most of them expressed interest in attending them. And 80% of my peers that I interviewed said this. But since then, everyone in my grade had an option to attend a college and job fair. It was at Blue Ridge Community College, and that was a couple weeks ago. And I think every junior in the county was able to attend it as well. So, and the most valuable thing that I learned from being a student representative in the fall of 2024 was my peers' struggles and interests with applying to and finding colleges. And none of the people that I interviewed have actually started applying for colleges yet, but they've all said that they were confused on the process of how to get started. So I think it would help for schools to just help them through the actual process and every step that it takes to get through. And that's it.
Really interesting points there. I love that all of you bring such surprising elements. Even in our last meeting, Kat and I and the council members are like, oh, okay. And that's the whole point of this, is to have those moments. And so, yeah, that's really good information. I am curious, Kyla, is there in the 11th grade, since you're almost finished with 11th grade, um, do you really start learning about that information that you've mentioned on this third slide in 12th grade, or have you had any experience in like career development plans in 11th grade? I'm just curious.
I haven't really had any help with my school from applying to colleges. I did go to my guidance counselor once asking for help with it, and I didn't get much from it. But honestly, I haven't really heard of anyone getting help with it, but we might get help in senior year. So,
Yeah, no, thank you for your honesty there. Yeah, I think everybody on here, all council members agree, we don't want those conversations to start, your senior year. We want that to happen before that. Really, by
yeah.
senior year, we want you guys to have a pretty, solid, understanding of what's going to happen after you walk across that stage. So, this is super, super important information.
Dorinda, I see your hand raised. Did you have a comment? I don't know if that was from before. Sorry.
No. It's for now.
Okay.
I was wondering, is there any information at your school with regard to accessing websites for colleges or things to that effect?
Not that I can think of. We have a board where they just place like informational things, but that's not really that talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just do a lot of my own research on it. I really haven't heard a lot from my school about it at all.
That's very wise.
Yeah.
I know that for us, our website is a great resource for finding out about applying and enrollment and things to that effect at AV Tech.
Hey, yeah, I was about to say, hey, Dorinda, we should probably add for the students, she works at AB Tech.
Okay. Debbie mentioned in the chat her mic isn't working. She said, I wonder if a collaborative, all high schools in area had 1 or 2 nights or afternoons to answer questions for the future of education, etc., beginning with freshmen example of when to begin looking and what you need to prepare. I like the idea of a collaborative. Do you guys as students think it would be this again? We talked about this in the last meeting at 11 about how I like the idea of collaboration, student to student collaboration. Sometimes I feel the messaging when you have maybe seniors who just applied to college, right, who just went through the whole Common App process, could meet with juniors and say, hey, if I just went through this, let's talk about ways that you as juniors could start to, maybe it's not too early to start thinking about your essays, and courses you could take, the importance of your junior year and how it affects your GPA and access to schools. And I don't know if that's what you mean, Debbie, but I like the idea of a kind of all student high school collaboration. How early is it to start talking about this to you guys, and what would be ways of communication that would be effective for you? So in what
I know
ways
at Asheville High, oh sorry. I know that at Asheville High we have something called Junior Night this year, where we are gonna have seniors kind of give information to juniors about like college and applications and things like that, which I think that's a really good idea for juniors. But I think like honestly, sophomore year or sophomore summer, I feel like would be a good time to kind of start talking about those topics just so you can kind of be prepared and know what classes to take your junior year and senior year.
I agree. That's when I feel like a lot of people start thinking about college if that's something they really want to do. But that junior night that is such a good idea. Like, I love that.
I love that too. Thank you. And again, for those not at Asheville High, you guys are juniors, this could be something that maybe is a little light bulb. Grayson, you bring this to your school and you say, hey, Asheville High is doing this thing. I think this would be really helpful. Could I be a senior on the panel next year to the juniors? I mean, this is part of what this program is to get ideas for, how to make an impact in your community and schools. Okay, I can't get out of here. Okay. All right, who is next? Sayla. Let me just get this started. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Sayla. I'm a junior at Asheville High. We were basically just tasked to interview our peers about like opportunities and resources at our school. And I found the most surprising thing being that there was like a lack of job awareness and salary awareness. So I had two students rate their knowledge of the types of jobs available based on like the education they receive, a 2 out of 5. And for salary awareness, they also rated their understanding of salary requirements for independent living at 1 out of 5, which is really low. And I also had a student, Eleanor, share that she also hasn't had any like access to job fairs since the 5th grade, which is I see is like a repeating thing that we're seeing with like everyone, no matter what school they're going to. So I think that may be like one of the biggest problems, just like financial literacy, job awareness, and like having access to those things that will prepare you for the future outside of, your like academic classes, like things that are actually going to sustain you when you're out of high school. They also pointed out some of absences and effective guidance from teachers regarding career options and income. And this surprised me because it was like two students who rated it like super low. And it's like also it's surprising me that it's being repeated in this like meeting, so I know it's like a real problem. And on the next slide, I talk about um, basically the same thing. Yeah. So I think when you have a lack of exposure to these job opportunities, you don't know how to plan for your future. And that's basically what I think high school is mainly about, being able to it's about networking, it's knowing how to advance your future so you know you're going to be set when you're out of those high school, college areas. So I think like the most important thing for you guys to hear is maybe getting more of those opportunities for students in the county and in the area, just about career guidance and how they can better prepare for the future. And the most valuable thing that to me that I learned as a student representative on the next slide was basically we all went through Hurricane Helene, but even through that, we were still able to like persevere and complete these projects for the P20 Council, the interviews, the video that we had to record. On top of like this as an extracurricular, we also had to stay focused, you know, on our schoolwork, on our homework, and I think seeing the community being able to persevere, and also us as student representatives, and me, like it really helped with my perseverance and like determination. So I would say that was the most valuable thing that I learned, just to like keep moving forward even in times of adversity. Yeah.
Thank you. That was great. Amazing. I appreciate all of your honesty here, all of the students' honesty in this process. And, you know, as I sit here at a career expo, and I think Josh probably is as well, maybe somewhere around here, has colleagues here. You know, it is, you know, I've got my wheels turning about the students that came through this morning. You know, I just spoke with one at Irwin, and they brought 14 students. So I don't know. I just have my wheels turning. I'm not going anywhere particular with this. Like, how could we make that more than 14? Or how could this be, you know, more maybe tailored for college, for schools independently? Like, should it continue to be a regional thing? So yeah, this is just kind of ironic that this theme keeps coming up as I sit in the parking lot at a career expo. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to chime in, Emily. Hi, it's Josh. I agree that this recurring trend is coming about career expos, and we're having one right now. And I know that they had some students come through today, but I guess if I were to maybe say something on this, I know that, you know, I work for an employer, and we receive requests from many different schools for different career fairs at their school, and we try to participate with as many as possible, but there are so many schools, and it would be tough to get to all of them. And I just wonder if there's a way to maybe have a collaborative effort, like by county or something. I don't know, I'm just kind of making this up off the top of my head, but, you know, is that we can have like a career fair that would be for high school students to explore possible careers that wouldn't be like, you know, kind of one-offs everywhere. So that employers, you know, because what the thing is that it's tough to say, some employers might say, I can do like 2 based on my capacity. And there might be like 10 options, you know what I mean? So if we could kind of like collaborate and have more people at fewer events, if that makes sense.
Josh, can you introduce yourself? Let them know who you're with.
Hi, I'm Josh. I'm just kidding. Yes, hi. My name is Josh. I work with Biltmore Farms, LLC. We are a community development and hospitality business here in Asheville.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, Josh is in HR
We've
with
been
Biltmore
through a dairy
Farms, which
business
is
way back when. I'm not giving you a big long history lesson, but yeah, we've been around for a while, and we're still here.
You guys employ a lot of people in the area, so we're grateful that for you, and that you're in HR, and that you go to the job fairs. And
Yeah.
if, you know, again, if any of the students here or anyone watching this video later are, you know, maybe interested in, you know, either HR or, you know, what jobs are available with Biltmore Farms, they do employ a lot of people. He'd be a good contact.
We have, well, I'm a contact for sure, and I can get you with the person who will be the recruiter for that position, would probably be the way I would say. But absolutely, I don't want to say, give you a bunch of names. So if you just remember me, then you can reach out to me. Happy to help. That's all. Thank you, everyone, for your presentations. They've been great. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Selah. All right, Sean, you're going to be next. Get this going. All right, whenever you're ready, Sean.
All right, awesome. So I'm Sean Ware. I'm from West Henderson High School. And one of the things I learned from interviewing my peers was one response I found surprising from one of my peers who is in the top of my junior class. He said, "I currently have no plans to pursue post-secondary education because I have not heard much about it through my high school so far." And my thoughts and opinions align with his sentiment, and I feel that kind of no matter your background, it's pretty hard to make these choices for post-secondary education, and let alone find them easily through the means of our high school. Next slide. I feel like an important message for P20 is the importance of when career/college opportunities are presented to us students. The earliest exposure I got, which is not so early, is the job fair at Blue Ridge Community College on March 5th. And I feel like information like that towards careers and apprenticeships and all sorts of stuff, dual enrollment, could be useful earlier on in high school rather than presented to juniors to a heightened level of preparedness for future high school graduates. Next slide. Finally, something I learned in my research, the most valuable thing I learned is the sentiment shared by my peers is about their preparation towards college and pursuits for their career choices. Amongst all the responses, the resonating tone was the kind of lack of advertised resources within our school, as well as a neutral to low level, or like 3 out of 5 or below, of preparedness for that step forward past high school and applying for colleges, as well as pursuing careers. And I kind of thought this data helped me realize my own need to take my own research into my own hands and stuff for my career path. That's it.
Thank you, Sean. Can and this question's for you, anybody else that wants to answer from high school. When do you take your financial literacy course or personal economics?
I'm pretty sure that'll be senior year for me. So
Okay.
yeah, next year.
So that's senior year. Okay.
Mhm.
Is that normally?
My school is in junior year.
At Brevard, it's senior, but it used to not even be a requirement. It was last year that they made it one.
Yeah. I'm curious because that's a natural medium to deliver some of this information. I know that the overall objectives for that class is not just about what we're talking about here. But personal economics definitely falls in line with career choices. So yeah.
Definitely.
And I would like to add to Sayla and say that only half of our class is actually personal finance. The other is just like broader economics.
Ah, yes. Okay, that's right. Okay. Any questions for Sean from CAT or council members? I know it's a lot to absorb. Like we only had 2 presentations in our first action team meeting, and even that was a lot to absorb and like reflect on and to make sure we grabbed all those thoughts. So I'm gonna have to spend a good like hour after today's just just annotating everything that we've talked about, because I think there's some really great food for thought, but food for action as well, for our council. So thank you. All right, Kat.
All right, thank you, Sean, so much. See, Zoe, you are going to be last up, and then after Zoe, we'll kind of open things up for, just either feedback, kind of collective insights that the students had, because I would love to hear from the students of, insights of what you heard from your other student representatives, because you guys are seeing each other for the first time, because this has been primarily kind of an individualized program up until this point. And you guys will meet back up in at the end of the month at our quarterly meeting. But then, also if you can, for this council members on here, think about additional questions that you have, things you learned, or just want to sing their praises. They deserve it. So let me get Zoe's presentation going, and then, all right, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Zoe. I am a freshman at University of North Carolina at Asheville. With most of my responses, I got a lot about identity, background, and mental health here. I'd say the most surprising is that how the school really tries to incorporate those three values, because oftentimes I hear that it's not always the best coming from other schools, but here I found that students are really satisfied with how the school takes care of how people identify, where they come from, and just helping them get through the process of stress and just other personal issues to ensure that they excel through their college career. Can you go to the next slide? The most important message I think that needs to be heard is that UNCA really does value people's heritage and their identity, and they often provide resources for people's backgrounds on things that they can do extracurricular wise and credit towards their college degree. One of my friends, for example, is Hispanic, and she was offered to host different Hispanic heritage events throughout different months. And I find it surprising. I'm not from Asheville or the area like surrounding counties. I'm from Boone. And coming here, I've found out that it's a huge value that really is appreciated. And I appreciate that about UNCA. But yeah, I believe that it really does make students feel heard, and it does encourage their academic prosperity throughout the next 4 years of their lives and into what they'll do after. It's an essential thing for students to have here. You can go to the next one. Most valuable thing I learned about being a student rep this year is that how there are other factors that really are incorporated into your education that mean just as much as your education, because they are really the backbone of how you excel and what you do with the next 4 years of your life. And like I said, just the way that UNCA really hones in on identity and background, I believe like that is one of the most value aspects of UNCA. And unfortunately, we just had our DEI courses get taken off of our core curriculum because they are now banned as a requirement, which is going to be the next step for UNCA to see how we can still continue to incorporate those values into students' everyday lives and their education, even though some of us are not allowed to talk about it now, as it is now considered a danger to perspective. But UNCA is very good at taking care of their students and making them feel seen and heard, and I believe that it is something that we can get past.
Zoe, thank you. And the fact that you're sporting the logo for the Bulldogs in your background makes it even better. So kudos there on a great location for you. But yeah, I really appreciate you naming that specifically when it comes to, just sort of the hard hard spot our universities and all of our post-secondaries and really everybody has been placed in when it comes to honoring those values and still being compliant with the new reality of our world.
Yeah, thank you, Zoe. I'm grateful to hear that that is the perspective of you and of your friend, and it big kudos to UNCA, because I know that in having gone through now 3 iterations of our student representative program. I often hear the complete opposite of that pendulum from students and at different educational levels. So it's nice to hear that that is how you feel is the culture happening at UNCA is important, and I appreciate, like Emily, I appreciate you just naming that. So thank you. That's brave. Keep doing it. All right. Let's see. Does anyone, we have some time, we have about 20 minutes for anyone to ask questions, share more insights. Was there anything, students, that during your presentation you learned from another student, or something you wish maybe that you included? Again, this doesn't have to be positive, right? You can, it's okay to say things are hard where I am, and it's important for the people on the council to hear those things as well. The praises. We'll open it up. Emily, yeah? Okay.
I have a question for the students.
What?
We've heard a lot about a lack of access to career fairs and a lack of access to next steps for post-secondary education. In your dream world, what would be a really good way for us to make those opportunities available to you? Would it be at your high school? Would it be at a centralized location? And what would you like to see?
I know personally at Asheville High, so this wouldn't be regional, it's more specific. We have a 5th period where it's not really like an academic class, but more of like they may be preparing for the ACT, time to study, like social emotional learning. So I feel like that would be the best time to bring those type of resources to us during the school day, because some people aren't able to do things before school, after school, due to like athletics, other commitments, or just lack of transportation. So I think having it during the school day would be the most effective, so it could be something that all students can access. But I also just don't know if other schools have a 5th period like that, which is why I say for Asheville High only.
That is a great idea. Thank you.
Similar to Sayla, Brevard High School has, we call it home base, and it's like a 30-minute period. And sometimes if we have an event or something coming like in the same day, they can take out a little bit from first and second block. But I agree that would be a great time to have something come to the school, because I feel like a lot of kids, if we want to make it something more known earlier, a lot of these kids can't drive, and so going somewhere else would be a little harder.
A great comment. Zoe, I see you have your hand raised.
Already having gone through the process of college fairs and college applications, what I found was the best solution to getting more kids to be excited about like after high school is more during the day fairs, just like in the hallways, and more like promoting college success. Also, more parent student nights. I know that being like a college student is a big personal step, but just having your parents to help lead the way through like your sophomore and junior year of high school, those are 2 of the most important years that will lead into your college life, that I think are essential for your parents and your teachers to help you navigate. But just, I guess, more targeting sophomores and juniors in high school and getting them more excited for what they can do after will really benefit getting more students to want to partake in post-secondary education.
That's a great comment. I was just thinking about, I was downtown this weekend, and there was someone walking around, with a clipboard saying, "Hey, are you registered to vote?" Like, we've all come across those people. So I'm just going to take like those people who are like, hey, they show up to where the people are, right? So if they know there's gonna be a gathering of people, they'll show up. They'll take advantage of the gathering. Same thing with like the Girl Scouts selling cookies, right? They're outside of like Sam's Club and they go where the people are going to be. So they take advantage of this collection of humans. And I just had an idea at the high school level in particular, like you said, Zoe, you just said, student and parent night. I think, for those who have, guardians or parents that maybe want to be involved, but maybe don't have the confidence themselves due to lack of maybe their own post-secondary careers, or, just time, right? Working and multiple kids and just life in general, it gets busy. But like sporting events, right? So here's the thing at the high school level where you tend to have a large collection of parents with students. Maybe AB Tech can show up to, outside a football game at like the high school. I don't know. High school plays, could we incorporate, a table or two as there's like an intermission or you're mingling afterwards, like, hey, parents, hey, students, do you have any questions about the upcoming, any FAFSA questions? Or, how can we take more advantage of being creative and putting the resources in front of the people instead of asking the students to take time out of their schedule to do the things? Like, how can, yeah, be more like Girl Scouts, right? Be more like, register to vote clipboard people. And I think it's gonna yeah, creative ideas. Anyway, just something I thought of.
Josh?
Yeah,
Did
I
you
was
have your
just
hand
gonna
raised?
ask, do y'all, because I know we've gone to career events at a high school where it was in the gym and it was a bunch of booths and you can just kind of go around and talk to people. And that can be awkward if you've never done it. It can be, it's always awkward, and I'm sorry. Career expos can be kind of like, oh, how do I approach this person? And you don't know what the employer is going to be like. I had another thought too, but the first question I would say is that the kind of setting you want? Just to kind of walk around, just explore and kind of be able to look from afar, but then maybe walk over if you're interested? Or maybe if you had like a panel of people who are like, someone from the education field, someone from healthcare, someone from hospitality, government, whatever, that's, kind of with jobs in our community to come during that free period and just kind of talk about what they have to offer in career pathways. Because I could see both working, but maybe if you had a panel, you wouldn't be having to ask for a lot of capacity from a lot of people at multiple locations. Because I do like the idea of coming to each individual school. It makes it easier for y'all. It should be like that. But also thinking about what, getting that engagement from the employer side. Maybe if smaller groups might be something you could do from different industries. So that's a thought. And then something else I was going to mention last week. I also represent WNCHRA. It's a local human resource association here, actually, all of Western North Carolina. And we partnered with the Asheville Chamber of Commerce and did a workshop series of four different workshops, sorry, where we met with people who were just, gonna plan to go to the Career Expo today, and they wanted to talk about how to kind of, present themselves and how to interact with people and how to get ready for a job fair. And we had a lot of people who are, in their career already or trying to make a transition, but we didn't really have any like emerging talent there. And that might be a great workshop for to present as an opportunity for high school students or college students. So that's all for me.
Yep. Those are good questions, Josh. To go into your first one, what do you think students about that question? So big events, those booths in the gym, we all remember that, Josh, and I'm sure it still happens. Are more personalized settings where you have maybe a classroom visitor tour in that home base setting, or what is the preference? Like Dorinda said, like what's in the perfect world, what would you like more?
I think I would like the second option more, just having a more like what he said, like having someone from the government field or the medical field, something like that, where it's less compact into a gym, or like the booths that are kind of awkward, I guess. I think I like the second option more. Yeah.
I would agree. I think they would both work, but I think having it more personalized like that would be great.
I think there's something really powerful at a panel and more of like an open dialogue back and forth. So for me, not that I'm a student, but sometimes I don't know what to ask, right? It's like you walk up to the booth and you're like, what do I say? Like you're just not really, prepared, but there is such power in numbers and from students hearing other students be curious. Where it's giving, the panel and the other students listening an opportunity of like, oh my God, I never would have asked that question. Or if maybe you're not as comfortable speaking out and you don't know top of mind what's important to you. Sometimes we don't know until someone else says it. So that kind of more of a like a popcorn kind of, in masses as opposed to like, me walking up to the booth, like taking a fidget, grabbing a Twix bar, and being like, thanks, and
Yeah,
walking away.
that's what it's like a lot of the time.
Yeah. Do you guys, I'm curious, students, before you go to a career fair, let's say, so some of you talked about, we heard this from other students as well, that one that just happened at Blue Ridge Community College. Was there any preparation that the school provided you, like a 5-question, piece of paper, like, hey, that just gets your like juices flowing about how to make the best of that. So like I just said, sometimes we don't know what to ask. Is there any preparation that your school gives you before you walk into there to make it as impactful as possible? Or do you feel like you're kind of just going in a little bit blind, not really sure how to take full advantage of what's in front of you? Any prep work? Sean, you can just unmute.
Okay. For my school personally, we haven't had anything like a pamphlet or like questions to kind of like get us thinking, but we have had some colleges come and like set up tables like in our cafeteria and stuff, and like kind of present like ideas from like their colleges or kind of try to recruit people. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's
I know it.
go ahead. Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay. I know for our school, I've gone to like 1 or 2 job fairs, but it was for a class that we had, so it was specific to that class. So I think the assumption was that we just go and like view some like medical jobs, right? I was taking what's it called, a CTE biology class, and we were kind of just like, okay, let's go look at some medical jobs that are available, type of thing. So they didn't prepare me too much for like all of the different careers that I could explore there.
When you're learning about these jobs, are you also learning about wages? Do you feel that like is there a correlation in this, when you go to the job fairs, like this is how much in our industry, either locally or regionally, nationally, you guys are getting information about certain careers and the starting wages of them?
I know we in our 5th period there was an assignment where we like took a test to see what career field your personality best fits, and they had like a little bit of information about the salary there, like the starting salaries in that area. That's the only time I've been aware of them having like salary information. And as far as like career fairs, I haven't had any access to those, but I have had access to a CT internship class where I'm able to go to an internship during the school day for like 4 hours on Monday and Friday. And like I'm able to, if I have any questions, I can ask them like, hey, how did you get to this level? What schooling did you do? What route did you take? What did you major in? Salary questions, anything like that.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a lot to chew on. And that's the whole point of it. But yeah, I think as a group collectively, what we need to take away from each of these students, in the themes, but also the individualized responses, is something that we really need to reflect on and to just try to figure out ways that we can address, and help partners navigate this based off what our students are saying. And I realize, these are just a handful of students out of so many, in our region, but this is an extremely important medium for these conversations to happen. And I know I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I am so grateful for students and their honesty, because I feel like sometimes, their voices aren't always heard. So thank you for our students and sharing that. And yeah, Dorinda, Debbie, I hope you guys enjoyed being part of our committee today. Really appreciate it. And everybody, thanks for taking some time out of your very busy day. So yeah, Kat, is there anything else to close us out?
So grateful. Thank you guys. You guys did a really, really amazing job. So thank you.
Good job, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm encouraged for the future.
you.
2025, some days I'm like, ooh, but y'all give me a little bit of hope today. Thank you.
A lot of hope.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
Josh. Thank you so much. All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Everybody have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.